It's important, though. I'd like to just give you a little background. The MS4, as it's commonly referred to, is the National Pollution Discharge and Elimination System, NPDES or MS4 permit. It's the state water board that assigns it. They enforce it. There is one permit that covers 84 cities and the county of Los Angeles. We're all under the same permit, including the city of Commerce. And these permits last for about 5 years. And after 5 years, what happens is you don't get less regulations, you get more. It's their opportunity to open it up and to give you more regulations. It requires us to have various programs, projects, water quality monitoring, tracking of progress towards regulatory compliance, enforcement, and reporting. Permit requirements. There's actually two I'd like to divide. First, the individual agency requirements that each city has to do under the permit, and then we'll talk about what we do regionally. So for the individual agency, there's something called a minimum control measures. That is required, that it's related to areas such as construction, business maintenance practices, sewer management, city contract maintenance operations, and public education. Compliance with what's called total maximum daily loads. TMDLs are the amount of pollutant that is allowed in the waters, and that's for trash, for metals, for nutrients, and bacteria entering waterways. The example that we had last that we ended up getting a federal grant for were the catch basin screens. That was to comply with a trash TMDL. And that's approximately 85% complete. Those that are not able to receive screens was only because the catch basins most likely need to be reconstructed to fit them. They're either, the openings weren't meeting the specifications of the county in order to permit a screen, so there's something that we need to come back to finish off the catch basin screens, but we have a majority of them with screens now. Non-stormwater discharges such as irrigation runoff, you know, why we say there can't be runoff from your lawns as you're watering. It can't enter the catch basin because with that you don't realize how many pollutants are carrying in that water. Stormwater and low impact development ordinances, which we have in place now. Green Streets policy to capture and infiltrate runoff. Council approved that as well. Business inspections for certain types of businesses. There actually are more than 500 businesses in Commerce that we inspected already once. We have to do 2 inspections in the 5-year permit cycle. So we are going to be starting this current fiscal year on our 2nd round of inspections. The most interesting thing we found last time were a flock of sheep on somebody's property at a business. They were very cute, but we had to ask them to move them off out of Commerce and into somebody's land somewhere else. So with them carries bacteria. We can't have that. And then we have annual monitoring of water quality and reporting of all compliance activities and monitoring results. Now these are the individual agency requirements. It keeps me busy enough, but what's even busier now are the regional activities under the same permit. In the past, everyone was sort of functioning on their own, and then they realized how expensive all this was getting and that we needed to join together to share the pain and share the cost. So what we ended up doing was, as part of this new permit, we have the choice of developing, not necessarily a choice, but they like to say it's a choice, to develop the watershed management program, I'll call it a WIMP, and a coordinated integrated monitoring program called the SIMP, and also to form a regional group. So many of us got together throughout the whole 84 cities in the county and the flood control district to figure out what those groups ought to be. And they were determined by drainage patterns. I have some figures that'll help. I have to give you a lot of the text right now, but I have some figures that'll visually help to understand this. So the purpose was to obviously join together, have a joint approach to comply with the permit and to share the cost. In 2013, Council approved Commerce's participation in a regional group, and that group is called the Los Angeles River Upper Reach 2 group. The members are Bell Gardens, Commerce, Cudahy, Maywood, Vernon, and the County Flood Control District. Commerce's Deputy Director of Public Works Operations, yours truly, serves as the chair. And Gateway Water Management Authority, the GWMA, is our fiduciary agent for all 4 Gateway WIMP groups. So everything goes through the Gateway Water Management Authority, all of our contracts, all of our RFPs that are released for any work that we do, everything is filtered through them as we would. We bring them to you for concurrence, and then we execute them through the Gateway Water Management Authority. They pay our bills, we send them money, they take care of the bill payment. On May 28th, 2013, Council authorized an MOU with the Gateway and the WIMP group members for administration and cost sharing for the development of the WIMP and SIMP. And just that document alone cost almost $650,000. These are not cheap efforts. It's a massive regional effort. In December of 2014, Council also approved the first amendment to the Gateway MOU for implementation of the SIMP. We first had to develop these programs. We had to submit them to the Water Board. The Water Board had to review them, commented. We submitted the finals with revisions requested, and they were approved. So once those plans were approved, now we have to implement them. And the cost-sharing formula for monitoring and special studies, that was approximately $300,000 a year for just monitoring alone that we're going to be paying forever. And approximately $361,000 for a feasibility study that we've had to undertake. The figure before you shows the group that Commerce belongs to and the catchment of the drainage patterns. You can see the orangey color are all of the areas in this group that drain all of the water, the surface waters drain to the LA River. The purplish color on the right is what drains to the Rio Hondo River. And that Rio Hondo River merges with the LA River in about city of Southgate. So it ends up in the LA River. Our current activities include a feasibility study. There are 6 regional projects in the WIMP that were presented to Council when we presented the WIMP before submitting it to the Water Board. Those 6 regional projects are required as part of the way to meet regulatory requirements for these TMDLs, and they are massive projects. The 6 projects are listed here. You can see the acreage for Rosewood Park in the City of Commerce is 506 acres. That would capture in that project. These are all infiltration projects. What the Water Board wants to see is no water running off to the river any longer. They want you to capture massive amounts of water and be able to infiltrate it into the ground so that it eventually will recharge the groundwater. So there is a benefit, but there is an expense. And so what we have to do is we're looking through a feasibility study at these projects for soil types, infiltration rates. We need to look at utilities, the hydrology for how large these projects need to be. We have a very good idea that's in our WIMP, but now we have to test it out. We're looking at permitting, what the O&M cost, the operations and maintenance cost is a big concern of mine because it's a cost that you're stuck with forever, maintaining whatever it is that we end up putting into the system, into the ground. The cost and the scheduling. Now these I'd like to just say, because some council members didn't have the benefit of that presentation that we did where we really got into the details of these projects, but what it is, and I need to make sure it's clear, is this is underground. So they look like parking garages. It's huge containment systems that the water would infiltrate, sit in and then percolate and infiltrate into the ground over a period of time. What you would have on the surface that you would be able to see is exactly what you're seeing right now. There would be park on top of it, just as it is. So this would not replace the park. This would be underneath the park to infiltrate the water. So we would drain to this facility, and a prime example is in City of Downey, Discovery Park. They did exactly this at Discovery Park, and it's beautiful. So that's what the WIMP is calling for. Now the sticker shock, the price. Estimated costs for these 6 regional projects is $209 million. And that is no exaggeration. We've got them listed individually. You can see each one. Ford Park in Bell Gardens is our most expensive and our largest projects. It's $91,300,000. It's
drone that we're okay. So if we can research and get some more stuff where city councils could start to take a look at it, and then we get legal counsel direction or advice, and to clarify things, then I'll bring it back on board. So if we can start that, please. I'm going to continue it. So I'm going to go ahead and continue this item with with staff researching.
You want to give it a deadline? A month? 2 months?
Let's report back in 1 month. So what are we in March? I think the first.
In April?
Yeah, the first meeting in April. Let's have a report on what you guys have gathered. Okay, so item number 16 is now closed. We'll move on to item number 17. So who will report on 17? Is that me again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So this is, this right here, I was speaking to the captain, and I'm a bit confused because we want to put an event together. There's going to be coffee with the captain, city council, mayor, and then there's a really fine line on what we can do to the report to the people. So I'm not going to ask for anything here to be approved, but I am going to ask if we can also research that. And I'm glad that we have Christina here, and she works for the Assemblywoman. And I think the rules come from Assembly or Senate. So I'd like for staff to reach out to their staff and start to figure out what exactly we can put on the report to the people when it comes to city council.
The reason why you have this question is because there are other cities that allow this, right?
Yeah, there's other cities that I've seen that have done similar things, and I've asked them how they did it, and they said, our staff takes care of it. So then I asked staff here to do it, and they said, we can't do that. So I'm very confused, and I just wanted some clarity, and I just want some answers from the Assembly and state, and be very clear on what we could and cannot do. That's it. Nothing else.
So we're not moving?
No.
So we're not moving forward on anything with this event yet?
No, these events, I'll figure out how to just promote it myself and do it myself, because I can't ask us to do anything.
So are you saying that we can't promote this event in the report to the people, or you want us to have our picture? I don't know.
We can't,
I'm lost.
we can't promote this on Report to People. with
This event?
Any event that has to do with city council.
Okay,
I'm not
but you
very
still
clear.
want the events to take place,
I do want
right?
to- I do
So
want
then
to,
we
yeah, the
need to
committee-
move and approve those events.
Okay.
And then the only question that remains is, can we do the report to the people? But you still want the event if it can, right?
Yeah, these events,
So
I
that's what
really
we need
do
to
want
move
these
on.
events. Yeah, I'm going,
So I have a suggestion for these events. I see that both of them are in the morning, but I would like to suggest one in the morning and one in the afternoon or in the evening for people who are working during the day. I know myself and Councilmember Argumedo have day jobs, so we wouldn't be able to be at the morning one. And then we have a large number of our community who also work, so they might not be able to come to the morning. So we can also give a PM time. So one
Okay.
in the morning and then one in the evening. I think that would be very
okay.
helpful.
So these dates and times are all morning right here, what I have here. So what we can do then is move forward with this, and then what I'm going to do is sit down with the captain, and what else, event?
He's available in
And
the
then the open house stuff, then we can take a look at the calendar, see what's going to work for you guys as
Well,
well.
I mean, it could be the same day, just that the open house could be from 9 to 1.
Okay.
And then, I'm not talking about the sheriff one. I know that you have to look, I'm
Okay.
talking just for the open house, because it's a different day, right?
Got it.
So, and then maybe it can be from, I'm only going to speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for Councilmember Argumedo, but it can be from I don't know, a 5 to 7, keep City Hall open an extra hour for the people who work and can't make it to the open house from 9 to 1. So it can be the same day, just give 2 different time options so that we can try to get more of our community to come out.
I got
And
it.
if the
Okay.
sheriff can come back on the day that we have the coffee with the sheriff, come back in the evening to meet with our community that also works during the day, I think that would be very helpful.
Okay.
What I'm hearing is that you want to go forward with the day one, but add an evening one.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that you can allow.
So let's go ahead and do that, and I'm going to see if I still have enough time to promote both of these, because now I told the captain, let's now stand by since I couldn't get it onto the report to the people for March. Let's just move forward with
Well,
it.
can we
just-
do a community pass? I mean, are we, is this
Can-
gonna, I mean,
Can we pass it out to every resident, every household?
Well, the open house one, I would think.
I
you
mean, it's
could.
an open house.
Right, open house and breakfast and the coffee with the captain.
Well, I would have to, I'm not going to answer right now because
Got
I'd
it.
have to take a look at that for you.
Okay, so let's just approve it, and if we have all the tools and the ability to do all that, then we'll move forward with it. If it's gonna be difficult for me to promote now, then I'm going to have to stop this, and then what we could do is reschedule for another month, that we have enough time to be able to create it. Okay? So right now,
Okay,
let's.
you want to have a month to promote.
Yeah, so right now, let's move forward as if we're going to have it. But with the two times, morning and evening, on both items. And I will talk to the captain and see if that's gonna work. So do I hear a motion?
Hey, could I just interject for a second? City Clerk, can you please forward all of us? I think the electioneering, restrictions related to doing some of this during campaign season. And we're in campaign season now, right?
No.
Not yet. The candidates are not certified yet.
Okay, so once that closes, and then, just forward all that to all of us so that everybody has a clear understanding of what the guidelines and regulations are related to that, so that we don't get into any problems related to that, and utilizing city resources and staff to do that. I think once we get into that period, I believe it's really up to each candidate to do their, whatever business they want to do under their campaign and whatever they want to do. I just don't want us confusing the two.
But I don't
with that,
think
wait,
anyone's
if it was-
confused.
if
Wait,
it
I know,
was-
wait, before you say that, and, yeah, I know. Alina, but also, what I want considered is that I've started doing this since the day that I became mayor, and I've held these events. So there's no reason to try to dim my lights to communicate and connect with the community because somebody fears that I'm going to be running for council.
But it's not even just limited to that. I mean, conversation in the senior center, they were asking, when are we going to do, because we've done it before. You've been a part of that. Remember, we'd have the open house and I set up all the goodies in your
I
office?
think there's been different open houses.
Yeah.
We just didn't do them right at election time. We haven't done that.
But this isn't right at election time. We're months away from election. This is,
done it
and wait, I'm not finished. And at the same time, it's not limited to the people who are running. It's the entire council and it's the entire community to come in, visit, and have something.
Everybody.
With everybody, so it isn't limited to just candidates.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're clear on that. I definitely would like a copy of that. I just want to be clear.
But I know when talking to the seniors, when we were at the event there, they were saying, when are you going to bring that back? When
Yes.
are we going to have what we did before in the city? And that was kind of a city birthday celebration thing.
That's when we
And we
used to
didn't
do it,
have
right.
that. We didn't have a birthday celebration. So that's
Right.
where this kind of comes from.
So I want to make it clear that I started this from the get-go, as soon as you guys gave me the opportunity to become mayor, and I have not campaigned in City Hall, Senior Center, or any events that I've had with the community, and I'm going to continue to be a service for my community. So I ask anybody who fears that I'm connecting or my council fellow colleagues are connecting with the community and doing things different for the community and being creative, to please stop fears, false evidence appearing real. Stop it. So go ahead and please, if you can get what he's asking for, but please take into consideration that this is a pattern that I have been doing since I've been on council.
Well, and also, I don't think anybody should consider or even assume that anything that we're doing, we should stop doing because it's campaign season.
That's right.
Stop, halt, don't do anything, because you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Right.
So-
I have,
property. The barriers could create a safety hazard in small locations and could limit the area where soil digging can occur because there would be a barrier sitting on the actual soil that needed to be remediated. Moving to our timeline. Our next steps. We are currently in our comment period. As you all know, our comment period will conclude on February the 15th. After the close of the comment period, responses to the comments received will be written and placed in the final EIR. DTSC will revise the draft cleanup plan and prepare a final cleanup plan. DTSC can then certify the final EIR and can approve the final cleanup plan. This is expected to occur in the summer of 2017. At that point, the cleanup process can begin. This slide has a list of repositories where anyone in the public can go to view a hard copy of the draft cleanup plan and the draft EIR. You can also view the document electronically and access the document on DTSC's website on its residential page. There are 3 public hearings that have been scheduled during the public comment period. The first one occurred last week at our Via Victory Church. We have one that will occur this week, Thursday the 19th, in the city of Maywood in their council chambers. And our last public hearing is scheduled for Saturday, January the 28th at Resurrection Church. Unlike the other ones, this one is an AM meeting at 9 a.m. Verbal comments will be taken during these public hearings and recorded by a stenographer or court reporter. Speaker cards and translation services will also be available. The community can also provide written comments which must be postmarked and or emailed no later than 5:00 p.m. on February the 15th. Written comments can be submitted to DTSC via mail at the address identified on the slide or email. And public comment is also available via the DTSC website. And if they attend public hearings, the community has the opportunity to use one of our forms for written comment, which is already self-addressed, and simply putting it in a mail with a stamp. DTSC will be reviewing comments as they come in, and at the conclusion of the comment period, again, we will prepare our response to comments. Anyone who has commented will be informed, and they will receive a notice to the conclusion of the response to comments. We again would like to thank the City of Commerce for giving us this opportunity to provide this brief overview. And while we're not taking any verbal comments at this time, if there are any community members who have written comment, we are happy to take those. If there's any public comment that is mentioned during the course of this meeting, the city also has the opportunity to utilize its minutes for public comment and put that in conjunction with any other written comment the city wishes to use as part of its comments to our draft EIR, draft cleanup plan. Are there any questions?
Any questions?
I just have a question, not with regards to the cleanup plan. There was a workshop that was scheduled in one of our parks, how to read your soil sample, that got canceled. Do you have a reason why it was canceled?
The ones that are coming up in the month of February? For the understanding your soil sample results, currently the results are from our initial consultant, which was Parsons. Since that time, we actually have 2 new consultants that are working with us on soil sampling. Those soil sampling results have not yet been released. We wanted the opportunity to ensure that we could update the presentation for the public so that it could incorporate all of the information from the changes with the new ones.
Okay, and then my second question is, at the last the meeting that I attended, there was a lot of questions and asking for the expansion of the testing area, and with really not any clear answers. Do you have anything for us?
At this time, since we're in the public comment period, that actually is an excellent example of a question that should be documented and submitted to DTSC for a formal response in writing.
But there was various questions at the last meeting that came unanswered, so, I mean, you know, we continue to send the same questions, and we continue to not have an answer for them, so, you know,
What I can tell you at this time, council member, our project is specific to 1.7 miles with the funding that we currently have available. And again, because it's the public comment period, and anything that we are currently proposing, if there is something that the public believes there's a question or a comment to make any alterations with that, this is the ideal time to look at that for us to reevaluate what we're currently doing as a project.
so any questions that we have today, you're not going to be able to answer, we have to submit them for,
The direct question to that is only that our definition of the project is 1.7 miles with the current.
no, but I meant any other questions? Are you also saying that we have to submit them through public comment, or are you here to answer any of our
If
questions?
it's specific to the draft EIR and draft cleanup plan, public comment's best. The only reason I'm suggesting that you may want to include that in the public comment period beyond the current definition of the project is simply that if you want that reevaluated as to how our project is being defined, that will require us by law under CEQA to actually give you a written response. That's
Okay.
the only reason I add that.
Okay, thank you.
So I have two questions, and I apologize, there was a lot of information. So I was
Yes.
trying to listen to everything. So you started off with a scoring, yes? So my question on the scoring, who developed it and how is it being implemented?
The ranking criteria is actually identified within our draft cleanup plan.
Okay.
That is developed based upon all of the information that was accumulated both during the scoping process as well as the information that was analyzed during our sampling, our soil sampling across the PIA. That ranking score, based on that analysis, will assist DTSC in actually doing our prioritization. And that's pretty much outlined within the draft cleanup.
And then my second one is a kind of a follow-up to Councilmember DeBoyo about the, the time factor, and you mentioned within the 1.7 square miles, but I had here with your comment about how much money has been allocated. Has Exide been a contributor to the amounts of money?
There were some initial funds provided by Exide, that's correct. So the initial cleanup and actually in terms of the earlier part of the EIR process, that was funded through those dollars that were set aside by Exide itself.
Okay, so, but to what percent?
A percentage, unfortunately, I'll have to get back to you on. I do recall the initial figure, there was a $7 million deposit from Exide, and I believe there were some additional funds, but I can provide you with some exact dollar amounts and get that back to you.
Because I guess at the end, it would be, we keep hearing that there's not enough money, and that's why it keeps, I guess, I don't know what the word is, just being followed up on as far as when they're going to get cleaned up. So to me, it just seemed like that the originator of this problem didn't have enough monies allocated, to continue to clean up this. That's just a comment. Okay, that's all I have.
Well,
Oh,
to mention what you're talking about, that has been all of our issue in regards to Exide not being as responsible for this
That's the word,
catastrophe that they've created. And legally, they got off, if you will. They are not responsible to a certain extent, and that is yet another issue that everybody has. So, and what's happened is, we have more money now that's been given by the governor. He's allocated a large amount of money, but it still isn't enough to do all that needs to be done. So that big chunk of money that came to us, it was like, wow, that's great, but it's, where do we put it? How do we use it effectively? Because there's so much more money that still needs to be allocated to really maybe finish the job, if it will ever really be finished and completed. But one of the big issues too is that that money has put a big strain on all of our programs throughout California because it's been now taken and utilized for a huge company's cleanup that is still in business throughout the world. So how do they not become responsible? They have money. You know, they should be taking care of that versus California and the people of California having to give all that money for their huge catastrophe that they created. So that's a conversation that will continue, I'm sure.